Everyone, welcome back to Railway Cottage Studio. This is Karen. I've popped back into my studio today to finish the last two prompts for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I'm sorry if you were watching the last video when it just shut down. My camera randomly overheated and just turned itself off, so I thought I'd just pop back on today and show you where I'm up to. I have a few jobs to do. I've stitched my ducks on. Let me just give you a bit of a look at that. I've used just a thick brown embroidery thread along the brown part of the duck, and I've actually changed to a blue. When I did it in the brown, I didn't like how it was standing out, so I have three little groups of those now happening. One little group here, let me just, and I've got some loose birds. One little group up in the top right corner, there he is, and another little group down in the bottom left corner, here they are. So it's a bit of a mix of some ducks going each way, but three little clusters, which is working really well. I've also, as I was doing that, I've popped on some additional trims that I've tea dyed. So the mission today is to sew them down, and then I also want to sew down the last bits of the gifted prompt. So I've been going through some fabrics that Karen sent me, Karen from South Australia. Hi Karen. And I've cut out these little birds, and they're gorgeous, from the Anna Maria Hornet fabric. So I'm just working out where I want them to go. Then I have this pen, fountain pen and nibs and a bit of beautiful text there. And I'm going to use those because, again, my dad used to write with a fountain pen and he had beautiful handwriting. And then I've got this beautiful piece of, it's almost like a lawn, it's beautiful. So I'm going to just have a think about how I want to use this. I think I might cut around some of these flowers so I kind of get a little cluster. But I'm going to do that one last. So to start with, we need to make some decisions about the birds. Initially I had them separated and spread out, but they're too small to do that. I think I need to put them together, whether that is in a little random kind of way, like that, which I quite like, three little birdies. However, when I look here, I have this little element that I've used. I need to actually sew, just pop a pin in that so I remember to sew that down. I must have pulled that a bit tight. I've got this here going vertically. I'm just deciding whether or not that works here or whether I need to take it over to the other side, which might be what I need to do. So I'm going to pop these little birds off, and I've just fussy cut them without being too fussy because there was red close to them. So I'm going to pull my quilt across to the other side and see if these work over there, and then that will balance that little dark run that I have of arm screen. Yep, so I've got this extra piece of tea dyed trim that I'm going to put. This is the piece that isn't tea dyed. I was going to just swap it out, but actually I just liked them both on there, so I'm going to sew that on as well. I just was wondering how these would look. Let's start with the big one. There we go. So if we start there, and if I just ran horizontally up that guy goes like that, doesn't he? I need some more between them so that they don't look so lost. Let me have a look. I'm just looking at whereabouts in the whole scheme of things hang on, sorry, I'm just going to lean across. This is what I'm looking for, this little run of three, because that's three little dark, boom, 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 4. And these are also going to be 3 blue. I kind of need to make sure that they balance. So looking at that, this is kind of only that far from the bottom. So I think these need to go up a little bit higher so that they balance. So let's see what I can do if I can pull them up higher. So I'm thinking about up there. Let's grab them off there and down. So do I have, yes, I do have you on screen. So I'm thinking perhaps just up here. So we'll start again with the big one, that little beautiful fairy wren, I think he is he a fairy wren? And then this little guy at the top. It's not, okay, I think I need to pull them in. This is just a bit of auditioning. Let's see if I can pull them in a more central point. Again, I just need to see, because I can't remember how far up. I'm going to just fold this kind of like that, right? So that I have that element where I can see it. So it's probably in the bottom third. So these need to be either in the top third or overlapping the top third to make them work. See, at the moment, okay, let me just pull you back under. That's where they are there. So I'm thinking that I'm going to try and pull them a bit lower and a little bit more central. So possibly, that's the word, possibly, let's just see how we go. What if I run them down the side here? You can sit there. Nope, they need to be vertical. So let's try it a little bit further over. Let's try them here. I've also put a bit of this tea-dyed lace under here, which has just given me another layer. So let's try like this one. That's looking a bit better. 2 and 3. Closer. So he's not stitched down yet. So let's just put him on. If I did on top one. And 3. Let's have a look. What do we think about that? Actually, I don't mind that. They do need to be a bit closer together. 1, 2. Okay, that's better. I'm just going to stitch around that shell. Move you over a little bit, maybe. That would work. 1, 2. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to pin them on. The tails are in the way. Pin them on, and I probably do still need to have a look at that as a whole before I sew him on. Right, see how now they're overlapping? That's not making me happy. I'm going to just fix that. Pull you up again. That's better. It's literally 1 millimeter, but it does make a difference. Okay, that's you, and I like this little guy who is looking up. Okay, so they're there. Now I have, let me just pull it out and have a little look how that looks. Yeah, that's great. I'm happy with that. Let's just have a look at these little pieces. So they're very quiet. These guys are going to be pretty easy to slot in. I'm going to look where it's predominantly blue, looking for a bit of balance. This is a beautiful, like a linen that frays really well, so I'm not going to fight that. I'm going to go with it. Or if it's not going to go with blue, it'll be good like in a, like here, where I don't necessarily want more pattern here, but I'm quite happy to have a bit more stuff, a bit more quiet. Okay, let's pull it down a bit. I don't want to interrupt that. I like that. I want to do it this way. Nope. I think it needs to be about there. So let's just pretend that it fits under there and fits under there. He's going to just be a lovely addition to the background. Is it straight? Yes, it is now. Okay. That's good. Now I've got these little nibs and the pens, so super simple to add. I might add you there. You see that one? So this is on top. This little lacy doily is not sewn down yet because he's got so much going on under and over him. So I think I'll just do him across there. I don't want to hide more of my duck. He's already been hidden by that. Let's see if we can go up the top. Okay, that's that. And then my nibs, his nibs. Okay, don't overthink it. Okay, so that is my gifted, my birds and my details and my nibs, and that lovely little bit of text. They're my gifted from Karen. Good timing. Thanks, Karen. And Thrifted, of course, is my ducks. It also gives me joy. And these little guys that I got from the sewing basket. So that ticks all the boxes. So let's stitch it down. How are you going? How has your week been? I have been trying to sneak down and get a little bit of time when I can. But I have now an uninterrupted couple of days, which is very exciting, that I can be down here doing. So I'm going to catch up on some filming, start a new project, which, I really probably shouldn't, but, that's what we do, isn't it? And let's have a look. So I'm going to stitch down the trims that I've added and the new birdies, which I'm going to do in a blue, and just having a think, and this gorgeous trim that I have tea dyed. So I think this guy can just, what do I want to do? Do I want to do a quiet cream on him? Just put all my browns together, because you know how many different, not browns, but creams and whites. I think I might just do, actually that looks like that colour, doesn't it? Might just do a quiet cream on him. And again, I do most of my decorative stitching towards the end, once I have got the whole design. I've seen lots of people doing canthus stitching in the background on the way, which looks amazing, and I've had a bit of FOMO that maybe I should have done that, but no, I'm quite happy to wait to the end. That's how it's going to work for me. So let's get stitching. Isn't this a beautiful colour? Again, op shop. That was from the sewing basket, I think, $2. All right. So I am all ready, girls, for the new prompt tonight. I'm just going to roll again. Best way ever to be able to access what you're doing. So roll with the pins and fold against the pins. I'm just going to be stitching this down very simply, and I'm going to do it again a little bit in from each edge so that I can lift. So I can lift if I want to add some. I'm just going to follow the little sort of zigzaggy pattern. Not necessarily trying to hide my stitches, but not making them decorative. They're just going to be quietly in the background there. This is very easy to sew here. It's only 2 layers, so super simple. Okay. I'm going to go one way and then the other. I've done something to my shoulder. I don't know what it is. I was lifting a wheelchair today and maybe it was that. I blame Mum. Maybe it's your massively heavy suitcase, Mum. 24 kilos. 24. We were 100 grams over and Qantas didn't charge us. Good on you, Qantas. 24 kilos she brought home. Good on you, Mum. I'm not going to leave 1 gram unused. Okay, the other way. There's no right or wrong way to stitch on. It's just however you want to do it. Probably 80% of my work is just straight stitch. A bit of back stitch, a bit of stem stitch, occasionally a bit of blanket stitch, which I have a love-hate relationship with. It's one of those stitches that I cannot start without looking it up every time. So my little brain just will not admit that bit of information to its long-term memory. So there you go. This colour thread really just blends in. It's just quiet. I will do another row up on the other side of the middle. And then I can take my pins out. So adding just a few more trims, particularly after I went and did some tea dyeing, and they just look so gorgeous. I've been following Tracy Myers. I don't know if you follow her. I found her recently, and she does upcycling of clothing. She's fabulous. So she inspired me to upcycle a pair of shorts. So when I was tea dyeing them, I have also come back and chucked a whole heap of my new trims in. as well. Am I actually on screen? No, I'm not. Let's move up a bit. Sorry about that. Okay, that's better. I might zoom you in. Zoom you in a bit. You can see I'm just doing a very basic stitch. It's just a little zigzag stitch that aligns with the pattern. Nothing special at all. Slow stitching is for everybody. So today I will be caught up, which is good, because I'm starting a log cabin quilt. And on my list of things to make is I want to make an Irish chain quilt in navy and white. So I have a busy week ahead. Busy week. That was like the worst way to stitch a stitch ever, because I don't want to roll. I don't want to roll it up anymore. Let's go in there. So what is our prompt going to be, girls? I'm going to say lace, maybe lace, or I'm going to say flowers. Is that a bit broad? Or could be anything really. A monogram maybe, or don't know. What are those girls thinking? Let's have a look. Alright, so I am stitched on here, and I'm going to just do one little random one up there to stitch that bit down. Quickly tie off underneath and move on to the next bit. So this is going to be, I think, what's the time? 18 minutes. Fairly quick video today. I don't have a lot of stitching to do. The only piece I haven't worked out is my little rabbit there. I'm thinking about him as I am stitching. He is interesting because he's reversed, like the pattern is the white. The image is actually the white, not the brown. So I think he's a good addition. All right, let's roll on up to this gorgeous bit that I have tea dyed. Isn't it gorgeous? So same, this thread just is like a tea dye colour. Just going to roll him up. I like it all funny like it is. So I'm literally going to put some threads through the middle and leave it curled up so that I can again tuck under, and so that I don't want to lose that. That's actually part of the design. Like, that's deliberate. So I'm just going to do a straight stitch across the middle, which will leave him a little bit flappy, but that's alright because it's only going to be to keep him in place while we finish the other prompts. Where am I? So I'm hoping to see lots of these volume 8 quilts in next year's quilt show. So that's your challenge, everybody. Enter your quilts. Unfortunately, you either have to go into a recycled category, which means you're up against clothing, or other, which is kind of like, all the things we don't know what to put together. So I think if enough of us enter, then all of a sudden we'll be establishing some slow stitching categories, and then when you go to a show you'll get to see lots of slow stitch quilts. So be brave. It's it can be a little bit confronting, but you know what? It's just a quilt. What's the worst thing that can happen? Not everybody's going to like anything, whether it's slow stitching or anything else. So do it for yourself. I quite like to work to deadlines. I can become very struggle with getting things finished if I don't have a time restraint. So I quite like having quilt shows to keep me honest and make me get things finished that I said I would get finished, rather than wandering off and starting 15 new things. I mean, I do that as well, but now I still get the other thing finished. Now I'm going to get my houses quilt out of my cupboard of shame and start making some more blocks on it as well, she says. I thought I'd start doing a show and tell, just to show and tell some things that I've made that you may not have seen, or you won't have seen because I haven't shown them online. So some of my quilts, some of my journals, whatever else I can find. Got a whole heap of beautiful little mice that I made using the Effie Little pattern mice, and if you buy her patterns, it's always, you know, kind of one body and lots of heads, so you can make, you know, a number of animals. Like you can make a deer and a mouse and a duck and about 10 different things, a fox, all with the same pattern. She just gives you all the different head patterns. So a whole heap of them. I need to go and buy some more PVA glue to work on my mouse tree stump thing, mouse house, which is a tree stump. It's nowhere near as posh as Corinne's. Her mouse has a chateau. So my poor little mouse, I'm like country bumpkin mouse, lives in a tree. Continue work on that. It's going to take me ages because I've got to build up the layers. So I've made that from craft boxes and PVA glue and paper towel. So it's very messy when you're doing it. Very, very, very messy. So you can see I've just done a running stitch right up the middle of this, just keeping it as it is. I want it all bumpy. That's, like I said, that's deliberate. Someone did ask me at one of the quilt shows, like, is that meant to be bumpy? Yes, yes it is. It takes a lot of work to get things to stay bumpy. So my mum's obviously tired from her time away. She rang before to say that she'd taken the dog's tablet instead of her own. So that's where she's at. Quick ring to the Poisons Bureau means that she's okay, but my son, her grandson, suggested you take her for a walk later if she wanted. So obviously she's a bit worn out after our trip away. Okay, how gorgeous is this bit of? This is from the sewing basket, and I know when I did my little video of the haul of things, I actually forgot to do the trims. But then I put them all away, and you know, I just moved on, so sorry about that. Ow, you'll see them as I stick them in things. Again, just tying off at the back. Stuck right in. Alright. Okay, we're getting there. So that is that little bit of trim tied on. Stitched on. Oh, I have this little random bit here, but you know, it's very important. Can you see? He's tucked in there. I'm going to stitch him on as well. He was an off-cut and I couldn't bear to throw him away. Of course, I never throw him anyway. But let's just stitch him here. And I just pin that back. And again, this is why I have stitched, you know, in from everything. It still lets me do lots of sticky under bits. And I need to start making Suffolk puffs, don't I? So I'm going to go around this one just in a running stitch. These are really tightly woven. They're pretty good. You can sew right near the edge with no worries. Just another layer. I'm going to go through here. My desk is a lot better now. My husband sanded the top for me so that it wasn't so glary. Because I do have fluorescent lights down here. Again, under our house I do have a little tiny window now, and during the daytime my back door is open. But my back door opens to underneath the veranda, so you know, it gets light, but not like a window that goes directly to outside. So I do have to have fluorescent lighting. I do use whatever they are, the daylight bulbs. I can't remember if they're cool or warm, whatever the camera people tell me to use. So that's helped. Like the glare is fine and I don't find it glary. But it did make my timber table a bit reflective. So I'm hoping that's a lot better now. Poor old Jeff sanded and sanded. Okay, I'm just going to pop him under there. Running stitch to finish. Alright, another one done. Yeah, cooking with gas today. This ticking is so fine. Well. Okay, another pin out of my project. Okay, so we are up to my little bits of Gifted. So again, I might put you in, what do I want to use? Do I want a cream? I'm just going to use a cream around these. Is that what I want? Yep, just a cream. Again, I'm going to just stitch them on and have a look later about how I'm going to finish off. Right. I'm always surprised when it's so easy to go through. I do have my little blue mat under here somewhere. There it is. Right. Again, not trying to be straight, not trying to be balanced or even, trying to just create some interesting uneven stitches that also do the job of keeping him down. It's kind of asking to be stitched through each piece, isn't it? So I might do that. Let's have a look. Let me just see, am I in? Yes, that's as close as we can get. So again, just all the way to the end. And see how easy it is. All the way to the end. Let's pop my pins out. And because it does do that, but you know what, I'm just going to try and go between them because I do want to see that nib go through there, you. Okay. So the shells at the moment are loose. When I finished, when all the elements are on, I will have a look at the shells, and if they need to be stitched in place, I'll do so. I quite like that they're hangy loosey. Yeah, nearly there. So that's the nibs down. Let's go out. Actually, I'm going to just put one more stitch in the corner. It's a bit loose. And then we're going to do the same all the way around. Ah, awesome. There we go. Alrighty, so I think summer has arrived. Today was the first day that I actually several times during the day thought, oh my god, I'm hot. So aircons are on. I'm alright down here for now. It usually takes a little bit longer for it to get hot down here because I'm under the house, but then once we get to that time of the year, the reverse of that is true, it holds the heat. So not this year because I have an air conditioner and I have solar panels, in case you're worried about me destroying the environment. We have a lot of solar panels. Having said that, I had an electrician on my roof last week who showed me a photo where obviously a cricket ball has landed on one of my solar panels and there's a big hole in it, but they're still working. And the air cons, certainly during the day, run 100%. Like our pool heater and our pool filter are all run by solar panels, thankfully, because electricity is so expensive, and you know, all the other things that come with that. Let's go through there. Oh, that little bit of tile, isn't that gorgeous with the little dog? So I like these, they're just quiet and they're just adding to the background. So thank you, Karen, you could not have given me better things to blend in and to look great. So I have pretty much sewn these to the edge just because there's kind of no other way to do it. I don't want to sew over the actual hen image, but that's okay. If I need to layer, things will probably go under or over. Who knows? How's everybody going with their big quilts? For a lot of people, it's the first time they've worked on something big. This is actually small for me. I normally do 9 26-inch square blocks. So this is only, I don't remember what I did. Let's have a look, see. What did I do? What are these ones? I think I did 16. Yep, 16 by 16. That's a lot smaller. So a lot more manageable. And I'm just thinking about quilting this because it's very hot to have these things on your lap, or to be just working with them when it's in the heat of the summer up here. Okay, I'm still over me little blue mat. That just protects my needle points. Okay, so that is him on there. So this side's looking good. I'll probably take you off. So what's your bet? What do you think tonight will be? I wonder if it'll be needlepoint. Now that would be handy. I have several. I've actually run out of wall space. I have some out in the hall, I mean outside my sewing room here, that are still in frames. I just need to bring them in and sort them. Okay, so that is that corner done. Oh, here I go. Let's put him on. He looks a bit crooked. Let's just fix him up first of all. He needs to go. I want him to tuck right up under there. That's it, like that. Just like that. Perfect. And then I'm just going to use my little friction marker to just draw a line so I know where to cut off. There we go. Let's just give that a crack so that he looks tucked when he's not tucked. I'll save those little bits for my journal. Under there, right up, perfect. Okay, is that straight? Does not look straight. Why aren't you straight there? That looks better, doesn't it? I get so used to having a thimble on that sometimes I forget it's actually hindering me. Okay, so I'm going to stitch him on, same thing, just with the cream. In fact, there's still some left on here. So I'm going to embroider text over this when I'm finished. But I'm going to do that right at the end. Right at the end, not beforehand. So that it goes over the top of everything. I don't want to lose it under any future elements that I'm adding. Let me just check. Oh, my phone says low battery. Let me just plug myself in. Oh, I've pulled it out, that's why. There we go. That should work better. Where are we? You know when suddenly your phone just won't charge? That's where I'm at. I'm in denial. I have no desire to buy a new phone or to upgrade. I'm an old person. I like it all to stay the same. This looks like a different colour, doesn't it? But it's not. I'm just going to pin back this little bit so that I can stitch up and under there, like that, so I can go around the edge of it and not catch my beautiful French General rickrack, I'm going to call that. I do have some French General ribbon somewhere that I can't find. I was looking for it today. I'm going to have to spin. Let's fold you this way. Spin. Here we go. Hopefully I'm not going to drop off again. What are we, 34 minutes? Wow. Need to roll all of him back, not just part of him. There we go. Let's get this show on the road, hey? I find this method of kind of sewing from the top is easier when you've got a big piece, and when you're not sewing through too many layers, where you can actually put your needle in and pick up, you know, a little bit of fabric, not having to pick up a massive amount. Otherwise I go back to just up and down one stitch at a time, because the stitches end up too far apart. Right, where are we? Back to this side. And same thing here, I can take these guys out now, but I think I'll just pin you back here, just so I can work more easily. And of course everything's going to be quilted and stitched, so I mean it might look like I've got a little bit of puffiness at the moment, but I can assure you there will be no puffiness at the end. I always stitch, probably 95% of the time I stitch through all my layers, so there's that, but then I also will come back and do decorative stitch through all the layers and quilt through all the layers, so it will be one piece. Okay, let's fix you up. That's still there. I'll leave this little bit loose still of the blue and white because you never know, I might need to tuck something else under him. That has gripped really well. Oops. Now I'm up to the birds. Where's my birds? Here they are. Let's do the birds next. Hey, I like the birds. Anna Maria Horner birds. Alright, so I'm going to roll again. These are pretty much in the middle. So I'm going to roll and fold. Actually, this side's good. It doesn't have any pins anymore, so I can roll. Bring it over. And this side does have some pins, so I'll just fold it a little bit more carefully. And there I have my little bit that I'm working on. So I think I'm going to use just this lovely blue. And again, just to quiet, I'm not trying to contrast. I'm just going to use this blue, and we're just going to go around the outside of the birds, the outline. So I'm going to pin myself a bit more. While I'm doing it, I will drop a few stitches through the middle of these, just because there's a lot of layers here and there's a lot of lumpy bumpy. So I might actually start in the middle rather than trying to pin through all of that. So I'm actually just going to bring up right in the middle here. Of course I went in the only black bit. And I'm going to do a few stitches just along the design, like this. Hang on, which way is he sitting? That way. Just like this, through all of those layers. And that will anchor him while I am trying to work through so many layers. So he will not move. Well, too much anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to go out to the edge. Any minute now. There he is. Like, you could needle turn applique this if you want. I don't want to. I don't mind needle turn applique. It's not my favourite thing. I've done a few things, but I want a mixture of raw edges and you know, neat edges, hemmed edges. So I caught myself immediately. So I'll be doing just a running stitch all the way around this, quite a small stitch because it is very close to the edge of the fabric and it's not that tight a weave, the fabric. So I'm going to have to do the old one up, one down, just to make sure I'm not tearing any holes that I don't want, or, you know, oh geez, I'm having a few issues here. I'm hoping my camera warns me before it gets hot, if that's what's going to happen again. Because last time it just went, I'm hot, and turned off. So I'll just, feels alright. So I'm not sure why that happened. Alright. There we go. So again, I'm not trying to add to this design, I'm just trying to stitch it on. And again, because it's got a seam and it's got something else, I'm just going to go straight down with a small stitch. This is where I tend to pull the thread out of my needle. Straight back up. Just little stitches. Oops. Just thinking I haven't caught a shell for a while. There we go. you see what I'm doing? Yes, have you zoomed in? Yes, we are. So we're back up to here. I'm going to go right up to the top there. Move everything over. Some angles are always so much better to work, aren't they? I don't want to do that again. That's what I did down the bottom. Pulled it too tight. So I'm loving how this quilt's coming together. I really like the restriction that I placed on it, thank God, because otherwise I would be all over the shop with colours. So I really love the blue and brown. And I hope I'm converting you to brown. So I probably say that every time. But brown, if you like vintage, you like brown. Simple as that. Because everything vintage is aged and brown and old timber and wood and old textiles and old papers. If they're old, they're brown. So maybe you haven't realised that you like brown. Must be right in a seam there. There we go. Slowly, don't want to catch that little guy again. Yeah, he's looking really cute. Cute Karen. It's not true what they say about Karens. Hopefully the world's moved on. I was giving a fake name for my coffee there for a while. Just because the young person always got to look like, oh God, middle-aged Karen. Yes. And then I would forget what name I gave. I'd be standing there waiting. Anyway, just own it now. We're going to take back our names. Right, where are we? This little guy is annoying me because he's heavy. He keeps moving, so I'm just going to pin him there. Like, just stay there, please. Oh, now, am I getting hard? No, that's all right. It's just a notification. So I'm just going to go down the middle here because that's kind of where I've ended up. And it's quite fine. Down here as well. Of course, I've caught that pin now. Now let me see, I want to make sure this tail stays just where I want it. Actually, you know what, I'm going to stop there because I'm sure I'll need to put something under here. So I'm going to just stitch back this way and one on the opposite side of the tail. Don't catch the shell. There, and I'm going to put one here and then I'm going to leave the little hanging down bit because without fail I'll need to put something under that. And this very fine sort of fabric probably won't like being unpicked too often. Okay, I'm going to take one out to, the shell, just to here. And again, not right to the edge because I'm sure I will want to tuck. And then we're back up along here. And the mozzies have arrived in force the last few days. Literally had 1 mil of rain, and I think every mozzie larva on the planet moved to Queensland. Let's go down and up. Oh, every time. Don't want him puffy. There we go. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to call it, I've done it right to the edge. Not catching you. So I just caught a different shell that time. Okay. So I've got a new book to have a look at. I grabbed the Anne Woods, one of her many books. I grabbed a Textile Travels, I think it's called, when we were away. We went to that wonderful bookshop that's usually at the quilt show that has lots and lots of craft and art books. So they had a wonderful selection. So it was a big decision about which one to get, but I narrowed it down and I have that book sitting there ready for me to sit and enjoy. But I'm not going to start it because I know I want to go and start a new project straight away. Okay, so this is one birdie is on. Let's go to birdie number 2. I thought this was going to be a quick video, but it's not. All right, are these where I want them? I have a little gap here. I kind of want about the same gap between there. Perfect. And again, I'm going to start in the middle just to anchor him down through all of those layers of stuff. Just going to start right in the middle of his tummy and just kind of go in the direction that his feathers, you know, kind of are, so one that way. And I'm going to come up here and go back. So I have 2 good stitches right in his middle. And then I'm going to pop up over here. I might pop off there. I think I'm running the gauntlet of my phone going flat. I'm going to pop off there and finish my birds and finish that last bit of, all I'm going to do is stitch on these last bits of lace and trim. And then I will see you again once we know what the new prompt is. I'll put a photo up on my Instagram of this on the wall once I've finished, so you can have a look. So thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you soon.